as is typical for most Hellcats, some lowlife stole virtually every part out of this and then left it in absolute shambles.
What? It was Lee's idea.
Luckily, I have a plan. We're gonna build something that no one will expect, a wolf in sheep's clothes, I suppose, and this Hellcat is gonna be the fastest in the shop. We're gonna do it with a 6-cylinder engine. But not just any 6-cylinder engine, a 2JZ. By my calculations, we're gonna need more than 1,000 rear wheel horsepower, which means we're definitely gonna need one of these. And we're gonna get it running and driving before July 13th for Race Motive at Pocono Raceway. Plus, one of you is gonna have a chance to come ride in it. My partner for this build, Bling Sauce, is giving one lucky winner a chance to come race with us, the entire Scraplife crew. I'm talking about your travel and hotel paid for, your entry into the event, and a spot in the passenger seat. There will be an appropriate passenger seat and more details to come later in the video. For now, we have to figure out the feasibility of this engine swap, and we're going to start with some basic measurements. These Hellcats are absolutely huge, but that doesn't mean that the dimensions are going to play nicely with the straight inline 6. Roughly 31 inches between the shock towers. The Hellcat chassis is designed for a V8 engine with a supercharger sitting on top of it, so I don't have any concerns about our limitations vertically, but the 2J has a turbo that sits off to this side and then an intake manifold that sits off to that side. So we're going to use some precision measuring devices to figure out how much space is between the Supra strut towers. What is that, 30?
About 30.
So the Hellcat strut tower is roughly 1 inch wider, which makes me think that anything that is designed for a Supra, exhaust manifold wise or intake manifold wise, will probably bolt up without any modification. Now the other dimension that we have to worry about is the engine's length. This V8 engine has 4 cylinders in a row, front to back. Obviously the other side mirrors that. The inline 6 engine has 6 cylinders all in a row. So our length from the back of the block to the front of the crank snout is roughly 25 inches. And then the same measurement on the 2JZ comes out to roughly 27.5 inches long. So kind of amazingly, the 2JZ engine is only roughly 2.5 inches longer, even though it has 2 extra cylinders in line. The other significant part of the driveline is the transmission. For this build, we're going to be using a T56 Magnum from Granish Racing, which at least dimensionally is relatively similar to the TR6060 that comes in these Hellcats. Better? Yeah. Down.
There it goes.
Like it was meant to be.
Very good. Can you shift left a little bit? Actually, no, actually we're really good. Keep going down.
How you feeling down there?
Can you go up? I feel the weight of a Hellcat on me.
You're doing the hardest job.
The most important.
There you go. Do that right there. Yep. That's good. Right. Hold that. Don't move.
It looks like it's close, yeah.
Oh, we're really money right now. The oil pan is perfect now. I'm really happy with that. Yep. Send it through.
So from the top side, and the best we can tell from just eyeballing this is going to be our starting point. We have it, again, just eyeballed to center and front to back sitting in the engine bay. This is as good a starting point as we're going to get, but all the concerns that we have are actually on the bottom side.
Yeah, we do need to go up more with the motor, and maybe with the transmission also, depending on driveline angle at the moment.
A couple more shims in place to lock down the 2J. Really the only question mark that we have is the turbo placement and the exhaust manifold. As I mentioned earlier, hoping to run a off-the-shelf manifold. This one is made by Artec. It's designed for the Mark IV Turbo Supra. It has the 70mm big boy V-band inlet. Hopefully it all clears. After making some adjustments and clocking the turbo differently, I think that this is pretty much exactly how the turbo is going to fit. This Artex stainless steel cast manifold fits in here with ample space. I'm going to guess it doesn't even have near this much space in a Mark IV Supra, but this looks like a good spot for the turbo to sit, which means that we can go ahead and move forward with the motor mounts and start locking the engine down. Now, in the interest of being thorough, we are going to put as many pieces in place as possible before building custom engine mounts. I bought a lot of upgraded cooling for this car from Mishimoto. This is a drop-in all aluminum radiator for the Charger or the Challenger. My favorite part about it is no more plastic end tanks, and it's also going to allow us to convert to AN fittings for all of our radiator hoses. I picked up an all aluminum expansion tank replacement as well, which will also allow us to weld in any fittings we need to make the cooling system work.
You do have the rubber radiator mounts for this, right?
So we found a lot of parts in the interior of this Hellcat, but not the ones that we're specifically looking for right now, which means we're on to plan B. So now, I didn't just buy this for radiator mounts. There's going to be a lot of miscellaneous pieces that I need that I prefer not to take out of inventory, and I need every ounce of wiring out of it, which feels a lot like history repeating itself. Now, because we're doing an engine swap, it wasn't as critical that I buy a Hellcat donor car. This is obviously just a 392 Scat Pack. The only stipulation that I had is that it's a manual transmission. Pieces like this hardware are the perfect example. Now we can mount our radiator fan to our Mishimoto radiator. I did have to pull a fan out of inventory because the one on that car is unfortunately broken, and only one of the radiator bushings survived, which means we're off to a great start.
Okay, come down.
Well, I am very glad that we put this in because the way we have it set up right now, this is tight. Not too tight, but worth measuring tight. So obviously the bolt will eventually sit inside the hub of the crank pulley, but that is our spacing, which is in the clear as long as the pulley itself doesn't sit proud of that hub section. Oh.
Looks like it's going to fit perfectly. That doesn't look like.
Our engine mount design consists of a lot of pieces, but it's pretty simple in theory. There's a bushing that has a set of standoffs. Tim went ahead and cut this piece based off of where the factory motor mount connects, and then this is the piece that actually attaches to the block. So all we really had to do was get a piece of tubing. This is 1.5" 083 roll cage tubing, more than strong enough to support the weight of this engine, and then it's basically just piece it all together and get to welding. The kit that the engine mounts came with had this piece that was already included. The fact that it was already welded, we couldn't really get the dimensions to work, so I went ahead and ordered a much larger bushing and collar, and that really enabled us to get the dimensions that we needed to put the engine exactly where we want. Engine mounts are all welded up and bolted back into place. The only thing that's left is the transmission mount. Our previous temporary wood cross member was never going to survive the test of time, so Tim has already got started on making a more permanent transmission mount.
Should hold up.
Luckily, the Hellcat chassis and the location of this transmission line up nicely for an extremely simple, but what should be a very strong transmission mount. The The transmission mount is in, and this thing came out absolutely beautiful. More importantly, the proof of concept is complete. The engine is 100% mounted into this chassis, and we were able to do it without having to use a sawzall or grinder on the chassis itself even once. The intake manifold arrived, and we were able to get that test fit, and the throttle body and charge pipe area might prove to be slightly challenging. We also got some more of the accessories put on and came to realize that the air conditioning pulley actually is the furthest most forward point, but luckily we're still in the clear. Barely. Now there's plenty of work still to go, but all of the dominoes are falling into place, which makes it seem like the perfect time to talk about you going for a ride in it, courtesy of Bling Sauce. Bling Sauce makes high quality detail products for your boat, RV, and now car or truck. They recently launched a new automotive line with products specifically designed to make every square inch of your car look its absolute best. Their products are made right here in the USA, so you can get professional results with amateur efforts. Now I'm sure you're asking, how is Bling Sauce going to put you in the passenger seat of the coolest Hellcat ever? It's pretty simple. You head on over to Bling Sauce's website, sign up using your email address, and you're in. But if you want to increase your chances of winning the contest, every dollar you spend on products through Bling Sauce website gets you 5 times entries into the contest, and you get to use my promo code down in the description below for 20% off. Your travel and hotel will be paid for, your entry into the event to hang with the entire Scraplife crew, and one very special spot for a ride along. If you're wondering what blasting down the front stretch of Pocono might feel like, Bling Sauce is the company that can put you in the passenger seat and give your car its best look, so you get professional results with amateur efforts. Now, what's not going to take amateur efforts is getting all the wiring out of this donor Challenger, and first we need to make sure it actually runs like the auction says it does. It looks like it would. The auction said that it would, and knowing that it runs and what potential faults are already highlighted in the system is only going to make diagnostic easier down the road. Check oil first.
Kind of important.
Is it? Perfect. 75,000 miles. Uh-oh. No bus. It says no bus on the display. Oh no.
Too close. You got fuel?
It is kind of possible that this thing doesn't have gas.
The ignition's on right now?
Yeah.
No bus.
So it's not getting.
It's not doing anything.
It's not getting into the throttle.
Which means the engine computer's not computing.
Not a good donor car. I know. I'm turning into Lee. You gotta hear me out though. This thing's gonna give us a much better starting point for the wiring. Number one, it actually runs.
Oh.
Not even a jump box.
Uh-huh.
Number two, this thing doesn't have a single light on the dash. Well, besides the windshield washer fluid, but that one's an easy one to fix. So as far as the wiring and the modules from this car are concerned, it's like it was never even wrecked. And number three, it has a full intact axle back exhaust, which is going to make Tim's life just that much easier. So we're going to ignore the fact that I just incredibly overpaid to get my hands on this car. I'll let the insurance company take their little W on this one, and while I tear the donor car apart, Tim's going to get started on the exhaust. This is where we deviate from our normal operating procedure slightly. We like to sell our engines as complete as possible, which would normally include the PCM. We know we certainly don't need it to control the 2JZ, but I think we need it in place for the body control side of things. One of the plugs on the PCM is for the engine harness and the other one is for the chassis harness. As noted on that first donor car, if there's a break in the CAN bus system, which the PCM is part of, then the entire system won't function properly. Now, the one question that we do have is if we're going to need anything from the engine harness. And the answer right now is we simply don't know. So we're just going to have to keep it for now and figure that out later. Now, let's check on Tim with that exhaust.
So the exhaust on this Challenger consists of three main pieces. We have our factory stock catback. We have our downpipe, which is pretty standard for a 2JZ, might even bolt up to a Supra at this point. And then we have our center section, which is a little bit different than we usually do.
We're doing oval tubing because we're running a 4-inch exhaust and the Hellcat normally runs dual 3-inch exhaust. We're going to be 1 inch lower on the exhaust section, which I don't love the idea of for ground clearance.
The only real hurdle here is going to be mating our oval mid-pipe to the factory Challenger catback.
Our oval 4-inch pipe is 2.5 inches tall by roughly 5 inches wide. Luckily, we have a perfect X pipe in this catback exhaust. We just have to figure out exactly where to cut it and then do a little bit of hammering. Dead battery.
I knew it.
I heard it right when you started it.
I know, that sound.
Mm-hmm. Solid.
It's not me.
Yep, that one's no good.
Okay, we'll use this one instead.
Oh, that one's good.
No.
This couldn't have gone any worse. So now instead of an X pipe, we have a Y pipe. And it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be pretty darn good. We're just going to cut it back a little bit further until we get the width to line up with the 4-inch oval tubing. And then the little gaps there, Tim's just going to have to fill in with some weld. One big, dumb, giant exhaust, just the way that Dodge does these from the factory. Every single time I have to work on them, I curse this giant exhaust, but this was definitely the easiest way to make this attachment. If later on down the road it bothers us enough, we can go ahead and maybe put a V-band junction in after these mufflers or somewhere along those lines. And really the only question we have is about the valves. We want to try and use these. I don't know how they normally rest though.
If you look carefully, you can see it. Yeah, you can see the butterfly is vertical. You know.
It's open.
It's open.
This thing's going to be such a sleeper with this factory catback system. The OEM resonators are in place. It's going to be extremely quiet, but it's also going to have an interesting tone because of the 274 cams. Really, the only way you're going to know it's really modified is when the wastegate dump tube opens up. Nice simple wastegate dump tube installed, and with that, the exhaust is finished. This thing should absolutely scream when it's under full boost. We've started the process of transferring over some of the chassis wiring, but it occurred to me that I've left out some very useful information. I was so excited at the beginning of the video to get the engine in and test fit that I deprived you all of some very valuable information about the specs of this build. So to recap, the bottom end is a Brian Roche built block, factory casting and crank with diamond pistons and BC rods. Real Street main caps and ARP hardware hold everything together. 10-to-1 compression makes this combination good for an easy 1200 horsepower on E85 fuel. To top it off, literally is a Head Games pocket ported GTE head with valve springs and supporting mods from GSC to accompany their 274 camshafts. And this package from Head Games is also good for 1200 horsepower. The Artex 70mm exhaust manifold has been tested up to 1500 rear wheel horsepower. It's a stainless steel cast manifold, which means it's extremely durable and won't be prone to cracking like your normal welded exhaust manifolds are. On top of it is a Garrett G42 1200 turbo, which I permanently borrowed from my rotary RX-7 because shortly after getting that car running, I was reminded why I don't own rotary RX-7s anymore. You've heard me throw out the 1200 horsepower number a couple times here, and that is the ultimate goal. The plan is to max out this G42 turbo, which if everything goes to plan, should be just south of 1200 horsepower. And in order to do that, we're gonna need a couple more supporting systems. The intercooler setup that I have for this car, it's on the way. It is absolutely fantastic. We need to get the fuel system taken care of, and then we need to get the engine wiring and the FT600 from Fuel Tech installed, and we'll do that all in video number 2. So now we just have hours of disassembly on this donor car to get every ounce of wiring out of it, and we have to pray that it's going to play nicely in our Hellcat.
Whose idea was this? Hey, and we're done.
He hates Chick-fil-A, right? For whatever reason. Oh, the breakfast sandwiches are bomb.
I can't reach it.
You need a longer person.
Yes, we need a longer person. That's gonna be good.
He went to Chick-fil-A to get beef.
Sausage, egg, and cheese.
Pork. What
Apparently
is?
it's not allowed because it's called Chick-fil-A and you're not allowed to get sausage biscuits.
I'm just saying it doesn't make sense. But we really just need to shove the engine in this hole. Something Lee would say.
Yep.
Which will go ahead and allow us to replace not replace. Oh, cat's out of the bag now. As many polices.
Good, your brother was in the background for that anyway.
Loser. Start manufacturing the motor mounts and locking this thing down. Manufacturing the motor mounts.
Like nobody wants a waffle fry. It's like, bleh. Everybody wants a crispy waffle fry.
It's not, obviously it's not this way, right?
What was that?
Come on.
It's like SpongeBob dancing.
The dials are way off.
Oh, you know what? I
What?
think I was trying to put my dial in that.
That will do it. What?
I'm saying I'm just a camera guy today.
It looks great.
It does.
Like it was meant to be.
So that's the problem with Chick-fil-A. It's a bunch of dog shit.
Should have stood on a battery.
Yeah, I know. Wasn't feeling that charged up.
Oh man.
Fucking Eric. What an idiot. Look at this idiot. Look at this idiot. Oh, you were the one that did that, huh? I was just wondering who did that. Apparently Tim wasn't up for the challenge. Top speed 171 miles an hour.
Damn.
Wow.
Glorious.
It's embarrassing.
I know. I'm your sibling and I got to deal with it.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
I know that's what I'm saying to you.
We're saying the same thing, apparently.
Putting up cow billboards and all that type of stuff. Yeah.
Talk about the Lord's chicken like that.
Hey, it's junk.
Yeah.
Like,
Don't suck at it this time.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the instructions we need.
we're gonna have
I'm
to.
gonna say what he wants.
I got work to do. Can you please?
Mopar adult.
That sounds good, actually.
It doesn't roll off the
Yeah.
tongue well.
I see you moving the Charger, and it's pretty good.
I was gonna say, you look good in the Charger.
Really good.
So I was thinking about that. You know, I have to be the only Hellcat owner in the world that got 0% financing.
That is true. While inflation's kicking ass, so technically you're making money on this whole deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm losing. Yeah, that's bullshit.
Smartest Hellcat owner ever.